I wasn't drinking or smoking or anything. So there was no break for me. There was no space of me using something to help me through something. Like I had to feel all parts of that. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me today on the Depression Ain't It podcast. I'm Chanel, and today's episode is titled Are You in Pain? And I'm going to be covering how to talk to other people about your pain and the way you want to handle it. And then, is there such a thing as abandoning your pain or your feelings? So, while scrolling on the gram, as you do, or I do for sure, I came across this post and I'm just going to read it. It says, I'm not being rude or ghosting you. I'm in pain. And then it has, I'm lost. I need to put myself first. I'm grieving. I'm overwhelmed. And I cannot tell you how much I wish I had something like this to express to people when I needed my space to deal with what I was going through. I really didn't have the words to describe what I was going through and the pain I was dealing with simply because to tell person after over and over again, one after another, that you're in that space is adding to the trauma. If I could have just taken that post and just sent it to people, that would have been perfect for me. Just to be able to let somebody know without having to feel guilty about needing my space. I tried that with a friend and it really didn't go well. Her responses to this day traumatized me. And I haven't been able to speak to her since, in the sense of I still don't feel like I have the strong enough foundation to just proceed through that situation. So after that happened, I really had to take care with how I responded to other people. And I'm grateful that most people were so kind and sweet enough to be like, enough said, and were able to give me my space while I was going through what I was going through. So, you know, it can be really traumatizing to have to sit and explain your life experience to people, especially if you're the kind of person who's not, I need help type person. Like, I need to reach out. You need to just take a seat back. Um, you're gonna have people who make it about them, and that's okay. Everyone's gonna have their own reaction, and you have to be able to not feel the guilt of that and stay focused on your goal. And your goal is to find your happy or your peace again. And so, what I would suggest is keep something like this on the side, like in your notes. I'm not being rude, I'm in pain, and I need this. And keep that in your notes so that you could just copy and paste it and send it to whoever, whoever's reaching out to you, whoever's calling you, or what have you at the time. So whether you need someone to come over or you need somebody to just stay away, whatever it is you need in that space, we need to just have a quick conversation, and you want to make sure that it just stays in a happy place, or you need a laugh, tell them that's what you need and you don't want to talk about this, or not to ask you any questions about that. Just keep it so that you don't have to spend time mulling over and over it every time somebody asks you what's going on or is reaching out and you don't want to be rude. Your main focus is just to spend time nurturing yourself and figuring out what that is and what will keep you on the right path, the path to your happiness and your peace and your alignment. And if that means that you have to block people, then block them, family or not. Like, I think people don't understand when you're going through that space, everything is sucking your energy, and it takes a lot to actually have to respond to other people's feelings about things. And other people are definitely going through things, right? But they're not going through things the way that you're going through it. So sometimes it just has to be what it is so that you have that energy to heal yourself. Yeah. The crazy thing of it all is that it doesn't even have to make sense, because sometimes it doesn't. Because of for what I was going through, I was angry at everybody, but especially women. So I found comfort with men. I cried to my brother a lot and just told him everything I was dealing with, what was going through, all my feelings about everything. And then I laughed and talked about regular life things with my guy friend. So they were the two people I talked to the most in that period. And then every once in a while, my girlfriend would just check in on me, just like, hey, just making sure you're good. A text every once in a while, you know what I mean? So it wasn't annoying, and it wasn't a thing of, I need you to talk to me now. It was just say something so I know you're okay. And I love and appreciate her for that. It really and even to the point of her making me celebrate my birthday, because I'm this person that's like, I can't celebrate anything until something amazing is happening in my life. So I've missed out on celebrating myself so many times in that manner. But she makes it a point to, when I start going, oh, I'm not gonna, no, 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 she's like, what meal do you want? And I'll be like, okay, I want this, and she'll go get it for me and have a little like cupcake or something and a candle in it. Like, she's so thoughtful, and I really appreciate her in that space. So, how long is enough time for you to feel your feelings, your pain, your sadness that you're going through? For everyone is different, but the reason I even bring this up is because I got this amazing comment question on my YouTube channel today. And the lovely person asks, can you please explain from your perspective why it isn't self abandonment to ignore emotions like anger or sadness? And what your thoughts are on feeling like you always have to try to be positive? Do you feel it's ignoring your real feelings by doing this? I understand the importance of healing painful emotions, but I'm struggling with the idea that you should never feel certain emotions. Does that make sense? Do you have any thoughts about this? All right. Sorry, I read that real elementary like, but whatever. So I said to her, I don't feel like I don't know if it's a her. I said to them, because I don't see a picture. But I said to them that I don't think it's really about ignoring or abandoning your feelings. I think it's more about how long you do that for. Um, I also mentioned that Dr. Joe Dispenza says that we're not punished for our sins, we're punished by our sins. And sin is missing the mark, right? So when you're dealing with depression, sadness, and stuff, there's a mark that's been missed that's making you feel in that space. And you're continuing to dwell on it, which goes from just having a bad day to a bad year. For my experience, when you end up in a space of depression and anxiety, that's cumulative. And this adds on to this, and you see that's right because of that, and that means that I'm no longer worthy, or I never was worthy. You see, that says that, and that proves that, and that happened when I was 12 years old, and since then it's just been this cycle, right? So it's how long you hold on to something for. And I definitely was a person who would hold on to something and then add something and then replay back the story. And it's not exactly the same as it was in the beginning, but that's how I remember it now. And then it becomes like an addiction to the pain and the trauma of that problem. So for me, I think there's a thing of feeling those feelings, whether it's anger, sadness, feel those feelings, go through that process. And at some point, you have to be able to, when I find myself doing it again, or going through that scenario again, or replaying it in my head again, it's like, okay, I need to change direction. I need to move into another subject. Because this one is not working for me. This one is pulling up these emotions. And you know what? I actually really enjoy feeling good and happy and in a great space or laughing, right? So, how do I get to that space instead of continuously going down this other train? And Abraham Hicks always says that, one thought follows the next, right? So if I start with, oh, her hair looks ugly, then I'm just going to go down the rabbit hole. What else doesn't look good? And then it might turn to me or to somebody else. And it's just a whole snowball effect, right? But if I start with, oh, I feel good today. Oh, my skin looks pretty. Oh, yes. And then it's like, okay, oh, I feel good about that. What can I do to show that off? And you just continue on, like I talked about in my first podcast episode, gratitude. You continue on the journey of adding to good feelings, and then you're headed in a completely different direction, right? So it's not about abandoning yourself and your feelings. It's really about having those feelings. Even if you're angry in the moment, you had that, and then, okay, I did, and then you move on. Because the other thing I would do is feel guilty for my feelings. It would be a whole train of, oh my God, why did I do that? And I'm a person who really feels on my feelings, right? I don't remember if I just said this, but even during that process when I was going through the worst part of the depression that I had at the time, I don't want to claim it. It's a section in my life. And what was I saying? God damn. When I was going through the depression. Oh yeah. So I wasn't drinking or smoking or anything. So there was no break for me. There was no space of me using something to help me through something. Like I had to feel all parts of that. And so then you have to find other ways to make yourself feel good, because I didn't want to be attached to, first of all, alcohol for me has just become like it's just not fun. I don't feel well. I don't feel productive. And it just doesn't add to anything. And weed and so I'm like, I get too paranoid. None of that makes me feel good. So I want to be able to feel like I can function in the space as a normal person. I don't want to have to escape from my life. I just want to come to a life that I love, right? So being able to do that is what was the most important thing to me. And so, not learning how to not live and dwell on something dark, ugly, miserable became my training. Because also, English people might get mad when I say this, but English people know how to complain and be miserable. It's just like a go to, right? Like, it's like, can I have a moan? Let me have a little moan. Like it's cute to moan. It's not cute to moan at all. So it's like having to rebirth myself or retrain myself from something that I've known since I was a kid. And it can be a process, but like it doesn't help on top of that to feel guilt about it or give yourself another reason to be upset about it. It's like it's so easy to find things to be miserable about, right? So we can, start moving the other way. Once you find yourself feeling guilty, miserable, unhappy about something, see if you can find yourself another positive angle about it for yourself, and not something else that's worse. Like people always say, if you say I'm hungry, oh, there's children in Africa who don't have food. Yes, there are. Yeah, there are. That's not cool. That doesn't make me feel any better because I can get food. That's not a great, that I don't know. For me, that just doesn't work. I don't feel like that's a great comparison. It would just be, hey, well, maybe I'm intermittent fasting today. And that's good. I controlled what I ate today. I'll just have some water. It's just basically, maybe it's a bad idea, but it's just having a different way of looking at things, a different perspective, and focusing more on the things that make you happy and removing the things that don't. All right, and remember, if you have to, block them. That's it. Block them. But I think today we are coming to the end of our talk, and I thank you so much for joining me. I'm really trying now to get to do these podcasts on camera and just see if there's something different. So, yeah, if you're listening to this, you can check it out on my YouTube channel, Chanel John. Otherwise, I shall see you next week. Thank you. Bye bye.